Okay, let me, I'm gonna try to get my screen up a little higher so y'all aren't looking at my neck.
Okay.
Let's see. Might not.
I'm having problems with my Facebook. Hold on. Hold on, let me try it again. Hold on.
I think you muted yourself.
Let me try it again one more time. Hold on. All right. Hey guys, I have Joanne Curtin of the Curtin team. She's an awesome teacher, mom, and she is going to do so awesome today. Joanne, I'm trying to get my live on Facebook up, but I'm going to hit my recording, so you're already recording, so we have it both ways. So
okay, I'm going to close.
You take it away.
I'm going to close these doors. Hold on one second.
Okay.
Okay.
It is you, Joanne. Go ahead. Take it over.
Okay, I need to look at faces. There we go. Hey, y'all.
Hi, good morning.
Let me see. I like to say hello. Okay. I love y'all to be on camera if you can, but if you're by the pool or somewhere beautiful, maybe I don't want to see that. So you can keep yourself off camera. Okay, so this is the listing presentation class. Bye. We just had our team meeting, so everybody's leaving. And this is the listing presentation. And I'm Joanne Curtin, and I'm here at my office today. We just had our team meeting, and thank goodness for Zoom, because boom, 2 minutes, I was in another meeting. So anyway, I've done this listing presentation prior on on our Facebook group. If you scroll down, you can do search for listing presentation with Joanne. If I go through start to finish, you'll see me exactly replicate what I already did, okay? So I'm just prefacing that because I want to slow down at this initial time and really ask questions of you, because I felt like after the first one, we didn't get enough Q&A, okay? Because I felt like I came on, I regurgitated my listing presentation, you heard a great, you know, script and play of how that goes down. So I ran the play, but we didn't have time to get perspective and try to figure out like what specifics you guys have, because you're taking the time to be on a live call. I want to make the most of that, right? So you can watch the video. It is just the play. But this live time together is all about really pouring into your specifics, and I want to reward that, because everybody can watch a video that's just, you know, after the fact. But what I always feel kind of FOMO about is, darn, I missed out on asking the questions like specific to what I need. So I really want to dive down and ask you guys to unmute yourself and just tell me, like, what do you really want to know about the listing presentation? Or what are some of your concerns, hesitations, fears, or ahas that you're having with the listing presentation? I really want this to be kind of together, everyone achieves more, right? So this is I want this to be kind of like one big mastermind. So who wants to go first? John, you're on mute, hun.
I would certainly like to discuss any questions that potential sellers may have during the presentation and how you overcome that, how you steer the conversation, how you kind of pivot based on those questions. That would be very helpful.
Okay. And when you say questions, what specific questions would you just want to?
Well, you have the you have the presentation that you're giving them. You know your product and you're describing it to them. What are some questions that you've come across, often that sellers will ask you?
Okay. Sellers will.
And how to have the appropriate answers for that ready.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about that, but anybody else? So any questions, comments, since we're kind of making a little list here.
Joanne, this is Kim Liptrot. How are you?
Good, Kim, how are you?
I'm doing well. I would put my camera on, but I'm out in the middle of the forest. So.
Oh, Kim, yes, Kim, you and I spoke. You just moved into your new house. I remember our conversation.
Yes.
I
Yes.
love it. Okay.
I just wanted to ask, when you're doing a face-to-face, not a Zoom call listing presentation, how do you kind of break the ice when you're going in their house? You don't want to kind of just get started with, hey, this is my listing presentation. Like, what kind of icebreaker do you use to get into that?
Good. Okay. I hope you can stay on the call, Kim, because I want to just make a list first and we'll go back. Okay?
Yes, I can. Mm-hmm.
I love it. Okay. So breaking the ice to build rapport. Okay? All right. What else?
Jerry and Gleba piping in. Just what would you say the top differentiation of your presentation is compared to the next 3 people going to walk in that house, give that listing presentation?
I love that. Great. Are you a seller, Jerry? Are you planted in here? Zoom, hacker, seller?
Not me.
Mwah. That's a great one. That's a real question. That answers John's question. That's a question you'll get asked. Okay, top differentiators. Very good. What else?
Joanne.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Mary. I'm a new agent, so I have a kind of a basic question, I think. When you go in, because I've had different agents approach me when I've been selling my house, and I've seen it done different ways. Some agents have come in and they already have all the comps ready and they're ready to tell me, immediately, even in the interview, what my house should be listed. Others are, I'm going to get back to you kind of after we've talked. Do you find that it's better to go in and kind of already have comps prepared so that they feel like you've done your research ahead of time?
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yes. Yes, I do. I just answered that question, but we can dive into a little bit more about why that's important. But Mary, that's a good one. And sometimes those questions, right when you get into the business, you just asked a question that probably veterans have, and we're always reinventing, right? This is COVID. We've never experienced this before. And things need to be even more, we need to be even more certain about sharing our expertise. So for yes. Anything else? Why did you jump on this Zoom? Oh, hey, Corey, go ahead, hon.
Hey, I'm happy to be here, and I have never listed a home yet, so I'm here to learn everything. So from beginning to end. So as much as I can soak up.
Okay. Hi, I'm Corey. I'm a sponge.
Yeah.
Okay. Sweet. What else? All right, let me ask y'all a question. if there was one thing that your competitor came in and did after your appointment, what's the one thing that you feel like if they did, they could blow you out of the water? What's the one thing that you feel like if someone came in and did this, it could shake up my business? You don't have to answer that and be, sharing with everyone. But that was a very big thinking question that actually my team asked ourselves back. We did a little mid-year meeting in July, and just said, if competition came in and did X, like what would kind of make us shake in our boots type thing. Just a really good thinking question, because whatever your answer is, you probably should just do it. You just need to do it because you know it. You know what that little piece would be that could shake you up, and so you just need to do it. And add that to your listing presentation or just your business in general. Okay, so we've got questions sellers have directly. What sellers will and do ask. John asked that. Breaking the ice, Kim, building rapport. Jerry, my top differentiators between me and any other competitors out there, the top 3 competitors. And then Mary, comps, do you come out there absolutely prepared, or do you say, I'll get back with you? Anything else? Okay. All right. So
Joanne, I'm sorry, I couldn't unmute myself fast enough. It's Nicole. How you doing?
Good. Okay. Good to hear from you.
You too. Quick question: what are you doing as far as your differentiating yourself with the whole social media component in our business now?
Okay. Social media.
As far as marketing is concerned.
Okay. Marketing. That's good. Thanks, Nicole. Okay, cool. Anybody, let me close this door a little bit more. Okay, so, and I want this to be a mastermind too, so I'm going to share best practice for us, and then, look, I am seeing some top dogs on this call. Peggy Connors, girl, you need to be contributing to this, and I need to learn from you too. So great agents are out here on this call. I want to hear from y'all too. Okay, so sellers questions have, this was John's, what are the questions that they're going to ask, and how can we answer those? So I feel like I'm trying to answer a bunch of questions in the presentation, okay? Kind of like when you hear a sermon, right? And you hear him saying everything that you've got the question for, and you're like, man, he's reading my mind. They're reading my mind. That's kind of what your sellers need to be. Oh my gosh, they're talking to me. So you need to address these questions before they ever have them. Then at the end, those questions that they have are really because they're about to hire you. Those are great questions. It's when they're really quiet at the end. They're like, okay, I appreciate it. They're just ready for you to be out the door. That's the kiss of death. Okay. So questions are so good, welcomed, and healthy. And that actually shows rapport at the highest level, right? I mean, when we interview agents, we ask, do you have any questions? And if the agent's like, oh, I think I'm good. That doesn't build rapport. I mean, great relationships have questions, right? It's just a two-way. So questions are super healthy. And some of the questions that I actually will try to ask up front are the conversion questions from the Shift book. I can't remember what page they're on. I probably should know it, but my conversion questions are what I lead the seller presentation with, okay? And to jump down to about building rapport, Kim, when I come out to the house, I do have already like a little pre-qualification filled out. So the pre-qualification is just obviously details about their house, bedrooms, baths, but it's also a little bit about, you know, what's your goal when you sell the house? I mean, I'm asking them on the phone, you know, where are y'all going to move to? I'm getting a little bit of background, so I'm not going in there without knowing anything about them, which is natural. I can't imagine we would go to someone's house without really finding out more personal stuff about them and why they're moving. So I don't maybe necessarily have the forward questions answered on the phone call before I go to the house. So when I come into the home or I'm on the Zoom, I just obviously thank you so much for having me. And I ask them if, you know, I have a mask. Is this something that, you know, makes you feel comfortable, uncomfortable? We can work however, you know, you see fit. So I always bring up the mask right away. And then, you know, thank them for having me at their house. And I've scheduled a good amount of time, a good hour with them. If that's still comfortable with them, I'm prepared to give them as much time as they need so they don't feel rushed. So then they can say, you know what, I just have a call quickly, I've got to go on. So I thank them for their time. And I say, you know, if it's okay with you, I like to walk through the house initially, just kind of like myself. Is that okay? You know, I just like to get a blink. It'll probably feel like I'm going through a little quicker than maybe you want me to, but I'm going to go back through again and take some pretty rigorous notes. For now, if it's okay, can I just look around? Like, absolutely. So I always ask if I should remove my shoes, the whole shebang, okay? And then I let them know you're welcome to follow me. I just, you know, I've seen a lot of houses, and I'm just gonna, you know, make sure I see yours too. And they're like, oh, absolutely, go forward. So I do like to walk through the house by myself because it saves a super amount of time, okay? I mean, and I'm just going through the house. It's not as quick as I can, but I just don't have the commentary that they have when I'm going through the house. So I really like to do that on my own. And then I come and sit down at the table with them at the house. And I'm talking to you guys as being in the house. Raise your hand. I don't know if I can see your hand raises, to be honest with you, but maybe just thumbs up if you guys have more in-person appointments right now, or thumbs down if you have more Zoom calls right now. Show me what you're going into. Are y'all seeing yourself being more welcome in the house, or people wanting to do a Zoom call? Show me your thumbs up. Or how personally would you feel more comfortable doing it if it was you? Okay, so in person, okay, I'm seeing some thumbs up here. Okay. Yeah, I mean, in person, I'm getting a lot of in-persons back again. Happy to do it. I've sat through a whole hour with a mask on my face, and they had too. I was perfectly fine with that also. So.
Joanne, would you point out, I know you're making quick notes while you're in the house. If there is any specific things you're looking for beside the mechanicals, and I mean, what notes are you making? Could you kind of?
I would just, when I walk through the house, I'll just take, you know, take note of really just red flags or amazingly gorgeous, like I can, you know, this is awesome. Like it's got to be a wow for me to write it down, or a real hell no type thing. Hell yes or hell no. That'll be easy to remember. So, you know, really just the big different sides of the spectrum. So then when I go through the house, we sit down together, and I always affirm, oh my gosh, this is a great house. Thank you so much. Like, they're so nervous right when you sit down. All they want to know is, does she like my house? I mean, that's all they're thinking pretty much. And you just want them to know, wow, y'all have an awesome house. I love it. Or if they did follow you around, which I have plenty of those too, they will know that you like the house because you're walking through with them. but do affirm them right when you sit at the table and let them know, guys, I see a lot of houses that, and you might just see a lot of houses online, but it doesn't matter. I see a lot of houses and this is an awesome house, okay? And then I just say, you know, so I know I've got a lot of questions I asked you on the phone. I appreciate your time in answering those for me, but I kind of want to back up a second. So this is when I get into the forward, and I do ask the forward questions. So, you know, I know it's you and John here together, but tell me about your family. I saw some kids, you know, pictures in their bedrooms, and asked them to tell you about their family. So I try to get their family dynamics as much as they want to share with me.
Could it be, I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
Could it
John.
be something like trophies on the wall or something, or any kind of comment about that? Any kind of awards or something, a good conversation starter?
Yeah, good. So bring in, you know, I see you're into sports. Oh my gosh, you have like Porsche pictures all over your office. Do you own a Porsche? I need to know more about this, you know. I mean, if it interests you, I would love to bring it up. So, yep, that's really cool. Because then they know I'm not looking at my phone the whole time I'm walking through their house. Okay, I'm looking at their house. So, doing the forward occupation. So I'm just curious, like, what do y'all do, right? And I try to find out what they do for work. And are they retired? I assume everyone works unless they tell me they're retired, right? And then I ask the recreation question, you know, what are y'all, in a different way now, like, how are y'all making it through this, right? Like, what are y'all doing to just stay sane right now? Because it's not about what are you doing for fun, which is the forward question. And then, and then my dream question comes into my conversion. So I leave the dream of the forward off, and now I go into my questions. So my conversion questions are basically, let me pull this up. I've got these on a notepad. When I go in the house, I just have them on a notepad, y'all. They're on that notepad, and I just fill in the blanks as I'm going through. So it's okay, take it on a notepad. They want you to take notes anyway. It shows that you're being respectful and you're listening. So my questions are, so wow, this is a gorgeous house. I'm curious, what caused you to buy this house when you bought it? And they love to think back, way back when, okay? Guys, I'm gonna run and get my charger. Hold on one second. Okay, guys, I'm back. Sorry about that. We have to be flexible. So I'm Zooming all the time, and I actually had to ask for a charger for my seller last night at 7 o'clock down in Chamblee, so that we could continue through my presentation. And she had one, so I was grateful. Okay. All right, so I asked them, so tell me about how come you bought this house? And they love to think back of why they bought the house, and then you get the dynamics, right? And then I ask, what are your top 3 things that you're looking for in a realtor? And they start to open up. Well, you know, last night it was that they wanted someone to get them top dollar. They were selling the home as an estate and needed to split it between 12 family members, and they needed a lot of money to make it worth it. So that was important to her. Ask them what 3 things they need to have happen. And then whatever they say, I say, what else? Because I really am looking for 3. Okay. I don't know. They always kind of stall out in the second one. So I just give them more time. And then she said, you know what? I'm looking for people to help me with my antiques. Not so much to sell them, but I would like to know the value. That was important. So I wrote that down. And then lastly, really just, she didn't want to keep it through the winter. It's vacant. She didn't want to pay for, utility bills and have to turn off the water and all that stuff, even though it's not like her New York winters, but still we have some cold winters. So I just kept saying, what else? Until she gave me good 3. Then I go back and this is a rapport building, Kim. I go back and reaffirm everything she says. Great. So what I'm hearing you say is this. If you have someone do this back to you, this is like the highest level of listening you could ever show someone. Repeating back their answers. And one of her questions was she wanted to get the best price all around. And when I repeated back to her, I said, so it looks like you want to get the best price all around. Tell me what all around means. And she was like, well, all around. I mean, I need 500,000. I need 500,000. So all around in her brain was 500,000. So asking them what their specific little phrase means is really a listening piece. So she laughed because she knew that I listened to her. So the top 3 things that are important to her, and then I basically just reaffirm those. And now, what else would have to happen other than what her realtor needs to do to make it a win for her? So what would need to happen to make this a win? Well, it would all happen really fast. And then what would happen when you have all of these things come true? What would you be achieving? So I try to get them into a positive future state. Well, then all the siblings will be, they will all get their share, and then the pressure will be off me, and I can actually go sell my New York house and worry about retiring my husband. Awesome. So now what actually would happen if the reverse did not occur and now you didn't get to sell the house? I mean, I know it's going to sell and it'll all be fine, but what if it didn't? What's at stake for you? And so I know they're going to sell the house, but I do get them into the negative past, okay, a little bit, or sorry, not negative past, negative future, and think what would happen if they didn't sell the house. So then she started saying, well, my family's going to pressure me. The house could get too cold for winter. I'm paying all these bills. Then she started getting worried, and I got real specific. What do you mean pay the bills? Well, I mean, I've got this bill. Then she got really down the bunny trail of the negative future. And then that's whatever they say is really that motivation. Okay. So you always will take notes of what that is. So when you're calling every week, connecting with them about how the house hasn't sold and the price needs to come down, if it does, I know you don't want to have all these bills continuing. I mean, you're always reminding them of the negative future. Okay. And that's just what we do, with our kids. Hey, if you don't clean up your room, we're not going to be able to do X. So it's just a coaching mechanism, and it's very, very helpful for them. And keep reminding them, if we do this, then you do the positive future, your family is going to all be paid out and we're moving forward. Isn't that going to be great? So you definitely need to uncover the motivation in that interview there. Okay. And then lastly, just repeat back what their motivations are. So it sounds like you're wanting to do this, this, and this. Awesome. Y'all, half those conversion questions, they've decided right there if they're going to use you or not. It's all in that rapport building. Yes, your presentation is going to be great, but you just really listen to them. And so it sounds like if I can do all these things for you, then we're going to be a match, right? Yeah, sounds like awesome. Sounds like we can. So let's take a closer look, if it's okay with you, about how my team works. Is that okay? And then now they've talked about them. Now you just ask permission to talk about you, and we go into the presentation, okay, into the slides on my iPad or, well, yeah, on my iPad, even if we're on the Zoom. So my top differences in my slide presentation is really, I'm going into this with the mindset that I have the expertise to help them, the local expertise. I'm not going wide, right? I'm going very narrow, and I'm their local market expert. So I'm really playing up my strengths. That's my strength. I've been in business 20 years next year. So what's your strength? Okay. Whatever your strength is, play that up. The other top differentiator is that we have a transformation director that's a part of our team that will come in. Okay. And if you don't have a transformation director, partner with one. It's called a stager, right? And they love to partner with you, but they know that we connect directly with our transformation director that can come in and make sure we do increase that rate of return, so the family can maximize another $20,000 if they replace the countertops and paint the house, and then that'll be more money to disperse to the family. So that's one of our differentiators that they really want to know. Is that something that I pay for? Do you pay for? That's something that we pay for, okay? We actually pay for that. Then if they choose to do increased work and put money into the home, of course, they would be improving the home when they're done. But that consult is a free service that we do offer, okay? And then the other piece is I really play up my promise as a differentiator. And I talk about that at the very beginning of my presentation. My promise, y'all want me to show it to you? Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Can y'all see this? I can't see you, so I can only hear you.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So, so my promise is basically the very first part of the presentation. And it just says here that our promise is to create a win real estate transaction, you know, and if we've earned that, and I repeat back their goals. So if I've done this for you, and this for you, if we've earned that to make all these goals happen, I'd like to ask for just two things. Number one, that you would send me a referral, a friend, a family, a coworker, a neighbor, or number two, you would write a review for us. You know, we know that not everybody is able to be referred to us. So sometimes they go online and look for an agent, and that's like the greatest gift if we can receive a 5-star review. And then I go into what our promise is not. So here's what our promise is not. It's kind of a funny, we kind of laugh on this because our promise is definitely not that everything's going to go perfectly. So I show Jess here, my director of ops. Jess and I mean, everything can and it completely does happen, right? But we just promise that we will hold your hand through it. And, you know, through the challenges that will happen. So I just let them know that we're in it together. Okay. So those are my differentiators. The promise is something everyone can do. Your big top differences, okay, to share with them. And then the comps, I always go in with I always know what I'm going to go in and discuss on pricing. What I don't decide is the list price exactly, because that's something that I discover with the client. So what I do pull up is just, and I'm not going to bore you with the screen on FMLS, but I will pull up basically the school districts, the elementary, middle, and high school of where their home's located. Okay. And by the way, I do pull up this little chart here. Let me share my screen again. So they're like, can you just tell me how much my house is worth, would you? And you say, I'm getting to that. I'm getting to that. Okay, so can you see this Roswell High School market overview? Can y'all see this?
Yes.
Okay, so I basically just share this with them off the bat to give them the mindset of the market. So for example, there was a house I was at last week. It was in the it was the 6 to 750 area. And if you look here, it's 31 days last year, not 31 days. There were 31 homes last year for sale. This year, there's only 14. Y'all see, I'm in that row of 600 to 750. So look at that, the inventory is half, okay, than it was last year. Now, active listings, there's a little bit more active listings that have had price changes from last year. So that's interesting because it's getting more, homes are being more improved to compete for the multiple offers. And then pending listings has doubled from last year. And then price reductions of homes that got offers, price reductions actually went down. So fewer homes had to go down in price before they got their offer. That's really healthy. So look at this, months of supply for active listings, 1.3 months supply. So if nothing else sells, or excuse me, nothing else is listed between now and when all the current 14 current listings sell, how long would it take to sell all those homes? 1.3 months. And then I just remind them, guys, you know, I know that, and I was trained to know that the market is healthy if it's a 6-month supply. That's a stable market. Anything less than a 6-month supply is what? And I asked them that question. Less than 6-month supply is what kind of market?
Seller's market.
It's a seller's market, absolutely. And if it's more than 6 months, it's a buyer's market. So I like to kind of make a joke and say, you know, back in 2010, this number was actually 33 months supply back then. So we're in a super amazing market. So 1.3 supply is awesome, okay? In fact, all of Roswell's in a really healthy market. And then 97.1% of the homes sold, 97.1%, excuse me, is what the list price to sell price is to sell in almost 3 weeks. Then if it doesn't sell in 3 weeks, look at that, it's going to be here over into 4 months. And you'll have to come off the price another 5%. Wow, 4%. So what's 4% off your of your 700,000 house? What's 4% of 700,000?
28,000.
$28,000. So if you've got $28,000 at stake, if you try to go a little higher, which I don't blame you, right? Sellers, that's your job, is to get more money. If you overshoot it though, the buyers, you're at risk of possibly having to come down off your equity. So as a fiduciary, you're hiring me to protect your equity, and I just have to show you the chart. Because if I see it, I have to say it. Does that make sense? And they're like, thank you, yes. So I just let them know that you shouldn't overprice your house. The numbers did the talking, right? Okay, and then I bring up on my screen basically just a few homes that are active. Usually there's only one, maybe there's two. And then any pendings, there's usually more that are pending, and then some solds in the last 6 months. In the elementary schools, within, I like to do within a year, like 5 years newer, 5 years older. Okay, I don't try to pin it in a neighborhood. I just do the schools and usually the age. And then if you've got way too many, I usually just do all finished basements if they've got a finished basement, or unfinished basements. I try to whittle it down in some way, okay? And then when with comps.
I have a question. So when you're doing it, I always go for neighborhood first, but you're saying that you do, every time you do it, you're doing it middle, elementary, and high school, right? That's how you're pulling.
If the neighborhood is big enough, I stay in the neighborhood.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing the right thing. Is that Farrah? You sound familiar.
Yes,
Hey,
yes,
Farrah. Yep, you're doing the right thing if you're if it's a big neighborhood, but if it's a small neighborhood,
yeah, then you got to go elementary.
right,
School.
you're
Then
gonna
you do
go.
all three schools. Yeah.
Mhm.
Do you
And
do
then,
all three school, or you go from middle to, you narrow it down that way? Just
if you're not getting anything at all, now you take out the elementary school, so you can go a little bit wider. Okay.
gotcha.
So you just need to be able to have some actives, pendings, and solds. So then I show them the houses and I say, guys, we're gonna have fun. We're gonna play HGTV. You ready? And they're like, yes. And that's when you get the husband and wife who don't really talk to each other because one's on one side of the house or table, one's on the other. Now they start to get real buddy-buddy and they want to be right in front of your computer. So it's just fun. So then I say, okay, guys, so pretend I'm the buyer. Well, I forgot to give y'all a little hint. So back on that chart that I share with them, I always like to say, so guys, just for an example, where do you feel like the prices of this house? Just, y'all get me started. Where do you feel like the row is? You know, I have a feeling, but I know y'all do too. So what do you think? And I just ask them to share with me what they feel. And then, well, honey, I mean, we've always thought it was like, I don't know, around 725, 750, somewhere around there, right? They'll give you kind of an indication. And then when you go into your comparables, you let them know that, you know, let's say this house was 750, because there's no right or wrong here. Let's just say the house is on the market at 750 and look at what it has to offer because it's awesome, right? Or it's awesome in its own way. You just still say, unbelievable. That's a good one. So it's still an unbelievable house. However, this house isn't on the market right now, okay? This one is. So let's look at this house, and I always like to go into the pending sale. I don't want to go into the active listing now. People can ask $1 million for your house. Do not compare it to the active listing. I go and compare it to the pending sale. And I go in and say, so guys, so let's pretend, I know that you're the buyer and you really want this house, but this house isn't available. Pretend this one is, and I know it's pending, but let's go into this one because that's where value is being confirmed. Let's go into this house and let's play HGTV. I'm gonna write it down. You guys come at me. I'm writing down positives and negatives of this house compared to you. What do you think it has you don't? What do you think you have it doesn't? Let's go. And we look at the pictures together and I'm just doing my positives and negatives and they get to have fun. Okay, you gotta be quick with that and listen for what, oh, we have a fireplace, they don't. We have this, you gotta put it on the right side. Okay, so you practice with your spouse. And then just say, I know, and don't forget, look at that. That's a big deal. Stucco is not as amazing as brick. I'm just telling you, that is a value that they have because they might miss some cues, right? Or some values. So you give them some values if you see them. And then after you've gone through that list, then you say, okay, guys, so now this house, we know this house is pending at $750. And it's got the fireplace, the bathtub, the new back patio, and y'all saw the new roof because y'all picked that up on the remarks. They did the new roof and you don't have that. Now, granted, it is on a main road, okay? The lot isn't as flat as your lot. So now let's say your house hit the market at $750. Where do you think, well, I don't say $750. Now let's say our house hit the market. Where would your house need to be priced to where, now you as the buyers, you're not gonna go over to that house. I mean, you love the fireplace, the patio and all that, but you really wanted that flat lot and that it wasn't on a road. So guys, where do you think your house would need to be priced so you will not go over here and buy? You're going to run over here and buy this one. What do you think? You're the buyers. And they really start to play that game. And they're like, wow. I mean, I mean, the road is a huge negative, huge negative. I would pay more. I would pay more for my house. I agree. I'd pay more for your house too. How much more? Well, I mean, I'd probably pay like $775. Cool. So now we go into the solds and I look for the very highest number that could support their $775. So I don't doubt that it's worth $775. I mean, houses are getting multiple offers all day long, so no doubt that it's worth more. So let's go in and just stress test as an appraiser would. Like, let's go see this house. This house sold at $775. Let's look at this house. And we pull up that house at $775. Now let's do it again. We're just gonna play the HGTV. Y'all know the game. Let's go. Positives, negatives, and they're like, oh.
Joanne, can I ask you one quick question? Sorry to bother you. The one you were comparing, the pending, was that more compatible to their house? You just pick one pending?
It's just it's the 750 house, and it is what it is. So whatever it is what it is. I didn't try to force a pending sale in there. I just picked the number that was closest to where they want to be.
Gotcha. That's what I was trying to clarify.
I meet them where they are. And if they're at that high price, I go find the pending sale at their price, and all of a sudden it's like, oh cow, that's a nice house. So we go into the solds and we see this 775, and it's like, wow, they've got a pool. I mean, we can't compete with that. I mean, we can't compete with a pool. We don't have a pool. And we don't have the cul-de-sac. And all of a sudden they realize, okay, that we can't do that. So it becomes very obvious. So I agree with you. I think this is a 775 house. However, you know, the appraiser is going to see this. It may not appraise. It just may not appraise. So we have to bracket. And I always talk about bracketing in my presentation. So I never know the price, guys. I don't. The seller doesn't know the price. The appraiser definitely doesn't know the price. He's just trying to figure out what the buyer's willing to pay compared to other solds, right? I play around because appraisers always call us. What do you think the value was? So anyway, but so then, where was I? Was talking about the solds.
Hey, how far back do you go in time for your solds that you?
6 months. Yep, that's what an appraiser is going to do. Roughly 6 months, especially with COVID. You know, they're probably going to write out those 3 months, but for sure 6 months. I go back, and then we bracket. That's what I was talking about. So we do bracketing. So guys, do I think it's worth 75? It doesn't really matter what I think. It's what the solds are going to dictate probably the value. So we need to make sure we price it for multiple offers so we can pick the best one. We don't want to agree to the price that's the highest, because we might just agree to that one offer that might not appraise. We just need to have more options, right? We might want the guy that would be willing to pay above list and even 10,000 above appraisal if it didn't appraise, but we won't get that buyer unless we get multiple offers. So ideally we bracket in 725, 725, 750, 750, 75, just like they do on the search engines, right? They're looking in brackets, and there's no magic number with it, but it is kind of what the buyers are forced into these brackets when they're looking online. So, and then I end it with the 10-10-10 rule. If it's, you know, we put it on the market, and if there's no offers in 10 days, okay, and we've had 10 showings, then the 10-10-10 rule is easy to remember, but it's not 10% overpriced. That's kind of the recession number. I'm just used to saying it. It's usually 5%. So it's 10-10-10. 10 days, 10 showings, or you're 10% overpriced, most likely 5, okay? Because they all want to go higher, and that is fine. That is absolutely fine. You just need to change the price after 10 days, okay? Especially if you've had no showings in 10 days, then you're definitely overpriced, probably 10% by then. Yeah, so pricing is key, because that's how you're proving that you're the expert. Okay. Any questions about that?
I have to say, Joanne, it's very comforting to know that you are not, an expert on the price. Because of us new agents, we think that we need to be spot on and experts and what have you. So it's comforting to know that even you're in a particular range.
Well, and yep, and back in the when the market started to shoot back up in 2012, 13, 14, I did. I mean, I oversold houses and they didn't appraise. I mean, I can sell a house for a high price, and then if it doesn't appraise, who do they want to make up the difference? The realtor. So I got real good at learning how not to hang my hat on that price, because I am not paying the difference and they want you to, right? Or they want to kick out the other realtor because they didn't feel like they added any value, and now that's the difference. They don't want to pay the realtor, and now it just got to be really messy. So it's not me that prices the house. I can oversell it, but I can't really ever close it until we've got it priced correctly. So that's a great point.
Joanne, I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you do anything to help the appraiser? Do you print out the comps that you used, or do you do anything like during the appraisal process that seems to help?
No, I don't meet them there. I don't print out anything. I don't do that. Okay. If they have an issue, a good appraiser, the great appraisers, the good appraisers, they will call the listing agent and say, I need some information. And that's when I can have some great conversation. Okay. If they call the listing agent and say, I don't see this value, right? I don't see the value. And we can say, okay, interesting. So just so you know, this, and this, and this, and we can explain to them where we know the value is, and then the appraisal is fine. So that's, I mean, I've had an appraiser even call me and said it was super low. I'm so sorry. And we just said, I'm sorry, we're going back on the market. And we called their bluff because he was in connection with the lender and they were all trying to get the price down. It was a mess. So we called their bluff. They changed lenders, got a new appraisal, and we were absolutely appraised and it was fine. But no, I don't go over there and try to meet the appraiser and all that. I just price it accurately to begin with. And the multiple offers do all the heavy lifting, right? Yeah.
Thank you, Joanne.
You're welcome. I mean, I can't say I've never, I don't think I've ever met an appraiser with comps. I can't say I've ever done that. The only thing I did in the recession was I would do a rebuttal. And I called Scott Murphy and said, how do you do a rebuttal to an appraisal? And he said, well, you've got to find errors. If you can't find an error of the appraisal, you've got no chance, because an appraisal is all based on accuracy. And if you can taint it with one blemish of an error, they've got to throw it out. They have to throw it out. So I look through it for an error. And I'd say, this is an error because you didn't do this. And then if there's one error found, then it can be thrown out, and that's a cause for it to be redone. So that's all I'm in for, is if it's low, I send it to my seller and say, I need your help, because I don't want to do it for 4 hours. I need your help, right? I need your help. Fine tooth comb this thing and find an error for me, and I'll do the same. And boy, that seller will find you 10 errors. And then you send it back. This had errors, and you got it. You got it redone.
Joanne, let me ask you a question. If you do, or if your seller is able to find an error, are you able to increase that appraisal price every single time, or have has it worked to your advantage every time?
They just redone they just redone it, and then it's come up at value.
Okay.
Or let's say if it didn't, the message after the fact is my seller knows I went to bat for them. Okay. They're like, man, I mean, we picked this apart. We tried every way. So they're not looking to me to say, you know, I got to give up like a $10,000. Like, what are you going to do for me? You know, they're not asking for my commission. There's no way we're giving commission for a low appraisal. So they know that you've done some heavy lifting with them, and sometimes it's still off by 5,000, and you just, I hate it for you. I mean, I don't say I hate it for you, but you have to act like, you know what, this sucks. And yet we just still have to sell the house. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so last question was social media, difference in marketing. So that, to me, that's like a super easy one, because we have Facebook Accelerator that we can, y'all know how Accelerator works. So I love to tell the clients, if they have a social media question, some of them don't, but if they really want to dive into it, social media can get, for example, because I'm looking straight at John. So John can be my friend on Facebook. I can run an ad that, and I'm not friends with John's friends, right, on Facebook, but this ad will reach John and John's friends. Like, that's how intelligent these ads are. I can't reach John's friends, but the ad can reach John's friends and John's friends of John's friends of John. Anyway, so that's super, super cool. And by the time you kind of try to explain that, it's over their head and you're moving on to another question. So, but yeah, the Facebook ads. And then the other thing that was important with a local seller we had was they felt like they had a home that really lended itself to a certain school. One seller was into walking to their synagogue. Now we cannot advertise, okay? We cannot advertise like that. But what we can ask them to do is, if they have a friend in that school district or at that synagogue, we would ask them to make a share in those private pages on behalf of their own property, okay? So listen, social media, that's why I love it. It's a two-way street. Like, they can market their own home in social media. So really, social media is as good as they can help make it, you know, as a personal share. And then, of course, we can do all the paid stuff, like the advertising and the accelerator, even though it's not even, you know, $1, $2 to make an ad. Okay, well, we've got 2 minutes left. So this was like another add-on to just the presentation that I recommend y'all go watch. It's from start to finish. Literally, I have a recorded Zoom video of a seller in training that I was doing for my listing agent, Christy, and it was the exact same thing. So I just did it for y'all a few months ago, and then this was just more, I felt like, what was super needed after the first presentation, but then we just had to go, because my presentation is about 40 minutes. So.
And where can we find that presentation?
It's on the Facebook group. It was a live share, just like Melody did this one. If you just go into the group and do the @, or not the @, you do the search listing presentation, it'll just pop up in the feed.
Thank you, Joanne. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you. That was very good. Thank you.
Incredible. Very helpful. Thank you, Joanne.
Thanks, Joanne.
Thank you, guys. Go get them. Happy Wednesday.
Thank you.